All right, family, let's have a grown up conversation around evil. I mean, the truth of reality is that we can sometimes live in a very painful existence. We see some evil things happening around us. If we're honest with ourselves, we notice evil things happening within us. And as a way to cope, we usually try to drown it out, whether that's through like accomplishment, working hard, some form of intoxication, just trying to get something external to help us deal with it and understand it. And often that thing is spirituality. We find some sort of religious practice or some world view. It could be tarot, crystals, ancestors, just some sort of philosophy or religion that helps us try to make sense of that evil. Again, the evil out there and the evil inside of us, and hopefully to deal with it. And sometimes for a time or for a season, we get some momentum. Things seem to be doing great. We have progress, but we then inevitably kind of stumble and fall. Maybe it's a big temptation. Some little secret vice pops back up, or just some crazy forces align, and there's a fall of sorts, and then we hop into this repentance and trying to fix it, but really we just end up on some like spiritual hamster wheel where we're trying to pray away the evil inside of us, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So we do more worship and more prayer and more scripture and just try to fight the forces of evil so that we can be a pure, happy being for once. And in this video is to hopefully allow you to slow down, to maybe see some of the foolishness in that approach, and to have an honest conversation around evil, what it is, and what you do with it. Like I said, both inside of you and in the world around you. And I believe it's the ignorance around evil and what it is that causes so much unnecessary pain and suffering in the lives of men and women around the world. Obviously, here I'm a coach for men, though. And so that's our frame for today. And I can promise you, if you stick to the end, you're going to have a better understanding of evil, what it is, and like I said, what to do with it than 99% of men. And you can avoid the pain and suffering that is costing them. Okay? So let's dive into it. I'm titling this The Lesson of Evil because it is heavily inspired by one of my favorite authors. You guys will hear me say this a lot, so I'll try to be brief, but a brother named James Allen. This is from a book called From Poverty to Power, or From Poverty to Prosperity. You can Google it, and all of his stuff is public domain. And so if you are balling on a budget, there's a PDF online. All right, I would encourage. It comes like he has volumes, like a collection. Here, I actually grab it. This is what the James Allen collection looks like. It is thick. Maybe the only book I've read more than this is the Bible. And this is a collection of books, like a Bible. He has a lot of commentary on the Bible and other religions. Like he's a great thinker. And he's old as y'all call me Unc. So he is mad old in that scale of things. Old enough so that his stuff is on public domain. So check it out. But if you want to be real, I can actually show you how much I read this. Because even as I just look around me, this is a new, fresh copy, all right, that I'm going through. But watch, check this out. I was able to find 2 of my previous versions of this. Here's one of them, okay? I don't know how to adjust my lighting to fix it. But as you can see, I don't even have the cover no more. And it's in 2 pieces, okay? And I know I have another one upstairs in my room, but then there's that one, but then there's also this one. This one. I don't know what I be doing, but I just be splitting them in half. And these things are marked up like a subway in Harlem. You're not going to be able to see it with the lighting, but like, so if I could give you guys an author that is highly recommended, and if you go check my team, they'll tell you I bought them little versions of his stuff. That's my guy, and he's helped me see a lot of things. So this is a nod to that, but please understand this is a little bit of an older English. It is going to be a very tough read, especially if you are TikTok minded and can't really slow down. You're going to have to look up words every few sentences, but it's worth it. Okay, it's worth it. You'll look up some ratchet song lyrics in a minute. Look up something to change your life. Okay, and you, like I said, you can Google all this on public domain. Now, let's get into the lesson of evil. Now, we're going to do a lot of conversation once I get to the right screen. A lot of conversation on what evil is and what evil isn't. And I just need you to listen to this open-mindedly. Some of this might be things you've never heard before. It might challenge your cookie cutter Sunday school theology. All right. Your Sunday school teacher might not agree with this, but if you can relate to the problem that I described and being in that loop of just like you're fighting demons and the forces of evil, this should help a lot. Okay. And so the first thing we need to understand is that you don't fight or ignore evil. That's not enough. That will always be insufficient. Okay. You must understand evil. Okay. Evil must be understood. And we'll get into this a little bit more as I go through some of the other points. But a better way of looking at good versus evil. So classically, right? This is going to be a bad cross. I'm sorry. Y'all going to have to get over it. That's ugly. Okay. But you typically have like, let's just do a quick devil. All right. Evil devil. Big head. Let's give him a pitchfork. Okay. This is typically how we look at good versus evil. Is it's like you got the good side versus the bad side. I'm on the good side. Fighting the bad guys is led by the devil, and it's got some bad people, and I just got to fight them. I would have you consider that that's actually not evil. Evil isn't a force out in the world, and it's definitely not competing with good. And I would also have you consider that the opposite of evil is good, but it's probably closer to understanding. This is why we want to understand evil or wisdom. And I'll expand on that a little bit more as we move on. But we got to drop the idea that it's good versus evil, okay? Evil is closer to, and a great analogy to define it is the absence of goodness or the absence of wisdom and understanding, which we'll get to here in a little bit. I'll expand on wisdom because it's key to this understanding. But it's just an absence. So as much of it, it's not a force as much as it is an absence of a thing. And that is why darkness is not fighting against light. It can never, and you have never ever seen it put up a fight. When light isn't there, that's the only time that darkness gets to be there. And the moment light shows up, darkness leaves, because you can't have light and darkness in the same place, because darkness is the absence of light, right? That's basic and you get it, but that is closer to evil than this thing that you have to fear and that's controlling people in the world around you as this evil force. All right, so as we move on to number 2, and honestly, it isn't just evil, but it's understanding that all evil is corrective. It is meant to change perspective, and it is. Oh, we get into that deeper in the third point, but evil it's a phase. Okay, evil is a phase of human experience that is designed to mirror things back to you. And of course, as you think through this, you know that there's evil, that hopefully you're self-aware enough to know that there's evil that exists inside of you, but it's also out in the world. And the big delusion is that, so this is you, right? And here's the, this might look racist. It's just, again, we're talking about darkness. Obviously, I'm black. I don't hate black people. Chill, brother. But I'm just making this the evil man, okay? Because he's dark. You're a little bit lighter. You got the light shining on you, right? And you got this feeling that, like, yeah, I got some evil in me, in my heart, but I am not this ninja, right? This ninja right here is evil. And there's the delusion of, like, he's like more of an evil. He's got an evil. And you'll list things. You'll be like, yo, he did this to children. He massacred these people. He did X, Y, Z. He's of this religion. But my evil, it's just like, it's like diet evil or mild evil. You know what I mean? And you got to understand that it's not that a person or a place or anything can be evil, right? Just like in the same way, there's no good man, no bad man. You have men, and they may do things that are a mixture of good and bad, but there's no, again, because evil is an absence of good, a 100% purely evil anything couldn't exist. Okay? And that's why if you find the most evil person, you will find good qualities, even if it is their management skills. Maybe they don't talk to people well, but they do this great or whatever, right? Because pure evil couldn't exist. It needs good to exist. Now, when you allow yourself to consider this, you can notice a few things. Is that the evil in you, it causes a suffering that, if you are self-aware enough, will teach you lessons on whatever you're experiencing. Whether and that doesn't matter whether it is the evil that you're doing or the evil that someone else is doing to you. And maybe the someone isn't you, right? We think of kids having cancer as evil, right? This shouldn't happen, and you see the pain, you see the clear suffering around it. And you may even be part of a household or a family where something like that has hit you. And so it may not be a person. It could be nature and just anything that's causing something. What is the lesson available to you? Even if that lesson is painful, even if it has you adjust your grip to things in this world because the pain and suffering you're feeling from losing someone, it is meant to teach and to correct. And that's why it is a phase that can end if you allow it to. And let me get into what wisdom is here, because we have 4 stages that are very important to understand. I'm going to move this over just a little bit, even though it's cutting it off. So you have ignorance, and it's worth understanding because evil is corrective. The fuel to evil is ignorance. And this is why you see Jesus on the cross, despite being crucified for people that he is there to serve, he said, Lord, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. They are just ignorant. And of course, you're going to say, Dion, ignorant of what? Ignorant to truth. And ultimately, the highest truth of who God is, who you are, like your highest identity, and the truth of this game of life and how it works. And because they are ignorantly identifying with something that isn't them, they commit evil in life. All right. And when evil happens to them, they have a painful, suffering experience because of their ignorance to evil and what it is and why someone would move with evil intent. And so let's get back to wisdom. So you have ignorance. You have knowledge. I don't know why I get on a whiteboard and get to teaching and talking. Maybe it has something to do with me just running my mouth so much. Spelling is hard. I'm telling y'all. So, and sometimes my just handwriting is bad, but sometimes I'm going to just, so this is understanding, right? Sometimes I'm going to just because it's like, you know how to spell it. Okay. While I'm running my mouth right now, it's a weird phenomenon. If you have ever done something like this, you know what I'm talking about. But so just always, sometimes I'll go back and I'll watch these and I'll be like, bro, why did you spell that like that? Like, you know how to spell that. It's just like teaching brain. Okay. And then down here we have wisdom. And I could have drawn these backwards or in the reverse because I like to think of like it going up towards wisdom. But just for us reading, loose leaf paper style, I just wrote it down. Now, what is ignorance? Ignorance is, on all of this is truth. All right. So ignorance is truth covered. Knowledge is truth collected. understanding is truth comprehended, and wisdom is truth creatively. That's one of the moments, all right? But that spells creatively, creatively applied. All right. Now, it's important to know that truth can never, ever, ever be like removed, deleted, taken away. Truth is eternal. And so you can't touch it, but it can be covered. And so that's why you'll see extents to cover the truth, because you can't ever get rid of it, right? And you've seen this in the world around you and inside your own experience. When you don't like the truth, you can't change it, but you can try to cover it and manipulate it. But in a finite world, right, this three-dimensional world, you can only cover truth for so long. Everything is finite here, and so it will fade eventually or be rearranged, and the truth will be free eventually. And that's why truth, even, I want you to think just even like on a practical level, but even on a spiritual level as in God, truth is patient. Truth is not in a hurry because it knows what's up. Like I said, even with God, think of how God moves. Some of the things you want to panic on and you want to be an emergency and you just want clarity and to scream down and let me know the truth, God. God ain't in no hurry to prove anything to you, because the truth going to be what the truth is, whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not. And when you have the truth in your life, like the real truth, not something that you just told yourself was truth, you truly are patient. You'll let people think the wrong thing because you're like, all right, I don't know what you got, but I got the truth, right? And so truth can't be converted, deleted, but it can be covered. And then once you have that truth and we start to collect it, you become knowledgeable. But here's the thing. We think knowledgeable is understanding. And a great story I have to tell that is when my wife and I went on our first cruise, we poured out of Miami. And on the way from our flight to Miami, which was a few hours, I watched as many YouTube videos as I can find on how to swim, because I don't know how to swim. Still to this day, I wouldn't say I know how to swim. I can like vaguely maybe kind of survive for a little bit, but I don't swim. But I was like, I'm going to figure it out. It can't be that hard. I learned things quickly. And so I read and I got some blogs. So I did some reading. I did some watching. And I was like, cool, I'm going to swim. I collected a ton of knowledge or a lot of truth around swimming. I was watching things like Michael Phelps has like little beginner swimming tip videos. I was consuming all of that. Like good truth was collected. But then when I got into the actual pool, I almost drowned because I couldn't comprehend swimming. I had never been out there. I've been in a pool before, but I had never been taught. I never tried to learn. And I hear it's harder as an adult, and I believe it, okay? Because it was hard. My wife out there, who is an amazing swimmer, I'm pretty sure she learned by just getting thrown in the pool when she was like a baby. Like, she was trying to help me and give me her tips and give me more truth around it, but I just didn't have the comprehension of how to move my body, and so there was no swimming happening, okay? And anyone that's worked with truth for a while, whether it's the truth around your job, a sport, a video game, after a while, you really start to comprehend it. And that's different, right? Being a successful entrepreneur is different than reading a book on entrepreneurship, okay? Being a good quarterback is better than knowing all the stats and plays and all the things, right? There's an understanding level. And then wisdom is when you creatively apply that understanding of truth. One of the most iconic stories in the Bible of this is there was King Solomon, who is said to be one of the wisest to ever live. Let me erase right here. There we go. Okay, there was an issue with two women. Okay. I don't know why her weave is fluffed up. Maybe hers is a little bit better. Okay. Now, they both had babies. Now, one woman, and she's kind of cut off, so I got you. Now, one woman actually killed her baby in her sleep. All right. And so she woke up, realized she had rolled over, smothered her baby. She went, and stole the other woman's baby while she was sleeping. This woman woke up, said, yo, you got my baby. Other lady's like, this ain't your baby. She's like, no, that's my baby. Boom, they go to King Solomon. He could tell they weren't going to, they both think they, are the mother to this child. So he says, bet, I got it. We're going to cut the baby in half. One half will go to you, other half goes to you. Done deal. All right. The woman that was really the mother, she gave up. She was like, nah, you can just go ahead and give her the baby. Solomon was like, and because the other woman was okay with splitting the baby, right? Misery loves company. And his deep understanding of life and how it works, he was like, I know who the real mother is, okay? Because she would rather see her baby live, even if it wasn't with her, than to be cut in half, right? Now, you can't put that in a spreadsheet for kings or governments and say, hey, here's how you solve domestic disputes about child ownership, right? That is just being in tune to the people, the times, the situation, and that's what wisdom is. That's why you can't like put a finger on it. Some of the best, a lot of people will say a close translation for wisdom is skill, because it is a skill that is not even available to you if you haven't uncovered truth, collected it, taken the time to comprehend it, and then you can creatively apply it in life. Okay, so when we understand that ignorance is the fuel for evil, you can understand why, one, it's a passing phase, that we can kind of start jumping to the third point. It's a passing phase that is finite. Okay, there is an end to evil. So even though it feels like it's this big looming force and how will I ever overcome it, you can actually overcome it within yourself and the world in your lifetime. That's a little bit beyond the scope of this video. We might tease it or introduce it here. But because it's corrective, it's fueled by ignorance. When the ignorance is gone, so is the evil, right? Both within you and outside of you. And this is so powerful, because I want you to almost look at this is like evil. Okay, it is a mirror back to you, showing you areas of weakness, we can say, but not weakness in like you just got to work and be strong here. It could be in a perspective that isn't aligned with the highest truth. And so you have ignorance there of who you are, who someone else is to you. And so that is why you are moving with evil intent, or you just even notice it in your heart towards yourself or the world around you. And one of my favorite quotes from James Allen, at least I think it is, if not, I guess I made it up, but he can have it, and he probably said something similar, is that evil is just the passing phase that we go through to understand or experience good, right? And so it also is worth understanding that as we're talking about the evil in us and the evil in the world, that's why the answer to it isn't to like fight the people. And if you just, again, don't have to believe any crazy philosophies, just look at the world around you, look at your experience with interacting with people. Trying to fight evil by just like attack it head on, again, in your own life or people around you, it doesn't remove it. It almost allows it to grow and build, and then you almost have like a back and forth between people. And if I can label you as evil in my heart, I can justify almost anything that I do to you. And think about it, how media will do that. I'm not even going to say any names or races or anything in this climate, this social political climate. But if I go to you and say, we can erase the mirror for right now, okay? My pen will let me. If I run so many media campaigns, have so many people agreeing with it, and I paint you or any person as evil, and I just keep telling you this is an evil man, evil person, evil people, we could justify doing anything, even killing them, okay? And think of ways you might do this on a little level. people at work, your ex. If you can paint somebody as something, then you can just justify your own evil, right? And it's this loop, and that's why I was like, we can hint at or tease at. It's an even bigger conversation to unpack, but I even think there's a way to grow beyond this. But if you can't even understand this, we definitely can't have this conversation. But there is a world where you don't see good or evil. And this is some of the truth that the story of Adam and Eve is giving us. Like, they had an existence, an experience, were one with God, and they had no knowledge of good and evil. And you can mature to a place where when you understand evil from this perspective, you don't look at a person that is even doing some of the cruelest things. Think of Jesus, not as someone doing cruel things, but his perspective on the people doing things. It wasn't one of, I hate you, I'm going to fight you. It's that I'm willing to die, not fight you back. And my heart is just open because you are just misinformed. You're ignorant. You're not an evil person. You're not an evil doer, and you're not someone that's unworthy of my love. You're just confused. Confused about who I am, who you are, and the game that we play. And that was the intention. That's what you see in the story, right? That's the goal. But even working here, if you could still, again, as long as it's not this good versus evil that you're working with, if you still are like, Dion, shut the fluff up. I was just on social media and I saw this massacre of Christians, or I saw this, and I'm not going to let you get away with saying that man is not evil, or that act isn't evil. I'm cool with that. I ain't trying to fight you. Look, I titled this evil. I'm giving you that, okay? But here's how you work with that. And here's how you try to understand that. And maybe you're on a different level of the spectrum, okay? Maybe you didn't go out and massacre people. Let's say here's like massacre. Is it safe to say massacring, right? Like a village is probably up there with evil, right? From this perspective. And you're like, nah, bro, I just want to slap my baby mama. Okay? I don't want to kill the hoe. I just want my cousin to beat her up real quick, okay? I want you to understand that they're not separate. They're on the same spectrum. And I'll give it to you that it isn't massacre. But when you understand that in your heart, and you also got to understand that big things don't exist. So when you try to call like countries or just bigger things, bigger problems, or big things evil, big things are just made as a collection of smaller things, right? So if there's an evil group, it's made up of evil individuals, right? You can't have good people that come together and make an evil whole, right? The individuals are the ingredients. You got a family, a country, a state, whatever. All these things are small things that are just collected, right? Even you as a body, you are a bunch of tiny cells that have come together. And so big things don't exist. You got to try to understand the world fractally. And even if you're trying to transcend to a place where you don't see evil, you don't do it by killing a group of people or distancing yourself from a group of people, at least not physically. You do it by overcoming the evil in your own heart. When you overcome the evil in your own heart, okay? So because again, you're like, bro, nah, fluff that, ninja. I'm telling you, Dion, you gotta go drop bombs on the evil man. All right, arrows on the evil man. You go and do that, that is not going to eliminate evil. And just look at all of human history for that. It's not like ninjas haven't tried that. That option has been selected multiple times, whether it's on a massive scale or just little points in life, right? This just perpetuates more of what you were really fighting against. And this is what Jesus is exemplifying. You can leave your heart open and heal your own inner evil. One, you change your perspective not on not only yourself, but also this person. And you now have a healing effect with all of your actions, your thoughts that are very real things that has the ability to, this is like our evil arrow we've just been working with, okay? I erased it too soon. You got the ability to heal the root, the ignorance in the other person, and heal that evil. And this is how you experience that peace in your lifetime. And it's without changing the world. It's changing your, let's just use it, this arrow that I have here is your view on the world. But you can't do that without fixing evil within you. And I promise you, all that pain, and it won't immediately stop. Like in your lifetime, it won't stop all of those evil events that do happen. Please don't hear me say that. But it will change that pain and that suffering that you feel when you think about it. And it doesn't make you like, and I don't mean it's like a cold-hearted, dejected, like standoffish, cold way. That was not Jesus, right? It actually fill you with compassion. And because you don't have the selfish knee-jerk reactions to all of that stuff, you're able to be closer to it, right? You didn't see Jesus walk on some like red carpet and be like, sin, get away from me. The people that the religious leaders were calling dirty and sinful, he wasn't afraid of that. He was like, I can be in proximity with that because I got this that I'm trying to point at the heart, right? I got the better arrow that can heal any of this that you're afraid of, all right? And when we can start with us and let that affect the people around us in the workplace and then our own family, and then they do the same and that multiplies. I mean, even though there's a lot of critiques you can have on it now, but look at what Jesus' actions, how small of a seed it had to look like in the world, right? Just a man dying on a cross. And if you believe the biblical story, from there, it's not like thunder and fire came down and forced people. It was like, no, it was some really inspired people that inspired some towns around them, that inspired the world around them and beyond, right? And that's the same good news and game that you get to participate in. Now, some people don't like this because they would much rather have a brochure and stand outside and force evildoers to go to church and repent. And because that's easy. I can just label you evil and justify whatever and talk about you, slander you, tell you need to repent and be better because I don't got to do nothing about me. That's what the religious leaders of Jesus' time did, right? They were able to externalize everything, judge everyone else. But when you point it inside, it gets a little painful. It gets a little intimidating, especially if you don't understand it and you think it's just like some evil force trying to take you down out instead of, and I erased it now, that sucks, but let's this is actually good to see this evil man that you think is someone else is actually you. And when you can use that evil as a mirror to be corrective in your experience, whether it's evil inside your own heart that you're struggling with, or it's evil that you're experiencing like an evil act or, something that someone is doing to you, please allow it to be corrective for you to start changing your perspective, looking for truth, even if it's inconvenient and you don't like it. Right? And one of those truths that we all know is so true, but we just don't like it when it hits us, is that this game, this three-dimensional game of life, right, that we see is not forever. You die at the end of this movie. You and all your loved ones. It's a bloodbath. No one makes it out alive. You ain't ever seen anyone in the history of everdom. Like, again, let's not use crazy philosophies. Let's just use your real experience. You ain't seen no one make it out alive. Ninjas die. Okay? And obviously there's an infinite game. There's something deeper to them that seems to have gone on. But the death, ninjas die. That happens, right? And so, wait, I don't even know why I was going on that rant. Oh, I was talking about maybe even the truth that it is not, it's almost never going to be convenient, at least not at first to you, that people, places, things are seasonal in our life, and life is cyclical. It's transitory, which means it's always changing. And if you do try to cling to this life, you will lose it. because you can't grab it and force it to be a certain way. People will come, people will go, things will come, things will go. And you're much better adjusting to that versus fighting against it, right? How much have you ever seen pain and grieving and sorrow bring a loved one back? For any of us that's experienced that, it won't happen. And so even if the truth is painful, I would really consider you, or please, I would beg you to consider that it still could be helpful. All right? And the evil is there to teach you something. Now, if I were to turn this into homework, I would say this is some still very foundational stuff, but you should use that link in the description. If you take your personal growth and journey as a man seriously, check me out, link in the description. We have a whole coaching program designed around really having a foundation around this and beyond, though. Beyond. And then second to that, I would have you do an audit of yourself where you sit down in what I call the circle of truth and get real with all of the evil that you see in your heart. Don't try to put spiritual makeup on it. Don't try to sugarcoat it, and stop trying to run from it. Okay? Better try to understand it. Allow it to teach you. Allow it to move you from ignorance, which is what's fueling it. Because a lot of you are going to be like, I get this, bro. This makes sense. How do I avoid evil? You can't. It comes from ignorance. If you knew, you'd do better. But that's why it's there. And so please take the lesson and notice how the evil has to go. It's not a theory. It's not a prayer or a hope that it would go. When the light shows up, the light of knowledge that moves to understanding, it has to go. It's not a debate. It's a certainty of life. Ninja, flick your lights, okay? And so through meditation on this, you'll realize that has to happen, because evil is it's a result of something not being there, and that something is the truth. Okay, that is the fuel. That is the fuel that keeps evil going, and so therefore it is finite. Once the lesson is learned, it is over, both on a macro and a micro sense. And that is our conversation around evil. And to finish off that homework, though, meditate on whatever bubbles up. Okay, and don't try to fight it. See it for what it is, and just don't let it go. Don't go and try to numb it out. Try to understand it, and when you can do that, magic really will start to happen. I love you. Thank you so much for coming to my TED Talk. Check that link in the description. And until next time, God first, God bless.